Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In today's session we are going to discuss about CRUD operations in ASP.NET Core MVC by using ADO.NET. Here we are not going to use entity framework, we are going to use stored procedure to perform the CRUD operations. So this is the previous example where we have performed CRUD operations by using entity framework core code first approach. So the same example we are going to perform CRUD operations by using stored procedures. Before continuing with this session, I would request you all please subscribe to my channel and click on bell icon for notification alerts. I'm going to use Visual Studio 2022 for this example and database I'm going to use SQL Server 2019. I'm going to create new project for this. I'm selecting ASP.NET Core web application with model view controller. We are going to create MVC project here. So this is my project name. I'm going to store in this location. Click on next. I'm going to use latest framework. Here I'm going to select HTTPS. If you want, you can uncheck so that you can use the HTTP protocol. So our project has been created here. So I have multiple projects under the same solution. I'm going to set this project as starter project. Right click on this project, set as starter project, and here I'm going to create one model. This is my employee model I'm creating here. Here we have to declare our properties. Before that, we will create table for employee in our SQL Server. This is my database server. Here I am going to create new database. This is my database name. Click on OK. So my database has been created here. We will create a new table. Click on new query. So this is the table I am going to create it. This is my table name. Here I am taking ID as primary key and it will be identity, first name, last name, date of birth and email, salary. So we are going to create employees table with these fields. ID will be primary key, so we no need to pass any data here because it's identity. Automatically it will increment with 1. Execute here. So our table is created. To perform CRUD operations, our model should match with these fields. Here I am creating properties. ID, this will be primary key. So we have to import namespace here. First name, so these are all the fields we have created in our database. First name will be mandatory. For this we have to decorate with required field so that we can validate at the time of form submission. Last name also mandatory. Date of birth. Also I want to change display name here. While displaying in the view, it will be displayed like first name. Same thing, I'm going to copy it here. This will be last name. Here while displaying, we are not going to display first name and last name both fields. We are going to join both first name and last name. We will display in the index page. For that I will create one more property. This will be string. This will be full name. And here I am going to join first name and last name. It will return first name. Here we will add one space, then last name. And also we no need to map these fields, otherwise we will get the modal validation errors. For that we have to decorate with not mapped. Now we have to create a connection string for this. Open app settings.json. Already in our previous example we used the connection string app settings.json. You can copy it from here. So here we have to change our database. So this is our database name. In previous example we have created all these things, how to create connection string and how to read the connection string and all. If you are new to my channel, please watch my previous video. Video link will be shared in the description. Now to perform the CRUD operations, we have to create stored procedures. Click on new query. First we will create a stored procedure to read all employees. Create. Here I am mentioning schema name, here I am defining as USP. It is a user defined stored procedure. Here we have to write our select query, select star from dbo.employees with no log. Here instead of specifying all, we will specify ID, first name, last name, date of birth. So instead of specifying all, here we can specify required field names. This will be the best practice in SQL Server. You can execute now. Our stored procedure is created here. You can select the stored procedure name and click on execute. Currently we don't have data, that's why the data is not displayed here. We are going to create one more stored procedure to read the data based on ID. Read, I'll make it as get by ID. I'm going to copy it. Get employee by ID. Here we have to pass where condition, where id equal to, here we have to pass one parameter. I'll declare parameter here at the rate id, data type will be integer. Here we have to declare the data type. This is the input parameter we are expecting from the user, and here we have to pass that id. So select this and execute it. So one more stored procedure is created here, and we need another stored procedure to insert the data. Insert. Here I am going to create, I'll copy the same thing. This will be insert employee. Here we need parameter like first name. We can copy it here. First name, last name, date of birth, and here we have to declare data types. It will be varchar of 50. This length should match with our table structure. You can check it here. Varchar of 50, and last name also it's 50, and date of birth and data type and length of the data type should match with our table. So last name also 50, and date of birth is date, and email is 50 characters, and salary is float. So now we can insert into so this is our table name. You have to pass all field names which we need to insert, and values we have to pass it here. Values I'll copy it from here. This order should match. First field will be first name, then it should be first name here, last name, date of birth, email, and salary. It should match with the columns which we mentioned in the insert query. These are all the columns, these are all the values which we are expecting from the user. Select this stored procedure, execute it. It's created. And then we have to create another stored procedure to update the data. This is going to be update. Here along with these first name, last name, date of birth, email, and salary, we need another input id. So based on id only we are going to update the row. id, this data type will be integer. So before updating we have to check whether that id is valid or not. For that I'll declare one variable here, integer. I'll set the value as 0. First I have to check whether the data is available with that id or not. For that I'll write a select query here. Select here we have to pass id, whether this ID is valid or not, we have to check. For that, we are writing the select query where we are validating this ID. So if any data is available, we will get 1 here, otherwise we will get the 0. So if it is 1, then only we will update the data, otherwise we will not update it. And one more thing we have to add here is, we have to check is there any error in the query. For that, I will try begin try, and I'll add it as end try. So like in C# how we will write try catch, here SQL also we can use the try catch here. Here I have to write begin catch and end catch. Here I can roll back the transaction if there is any error. Suppose if row count is greater than 0, that means this ID is valid, then I have to update the record. Begin transaction, commit transaction. Here we have to write our update query. Update employees set. Here we have to update the values. I'll copy these things here. And we have to pause where condition here, where ID equal to @ID. Here we have to pause comma. Yes. Like this in insert query also we have to check is there any error. For that, begin try, and it's going to end here, end try, begin catch and end catch. If there is any error, then roll back the transaction. Begin transaction, and after inserting we have to commit the transaction. So we have to alter this. Execute it. Now we have to create update one, execute it, and finally we have to write another stored procedure for deletion. I'll write it here. Delete. Here we are going to pass only ID to delete the record. So here also I am going to check row count. If row count is greater than 0, then only I am going to delete the data. Delete from table where ID is passed by the user. Execute. All our stored procedures are ready now. Now here I am going to create one folder for data access layer. Data access layer. I'll create a class for data access. I'll make it as employee dal. Firstly, here I need SQL connection. For this we have to import the namespace, and you can install the latest version. I need SQL command also. I am declaring SQL connection and SQL command here, and I need one property for configuration to read the connection string. Here we are going to create a method to read the connection string. Private, it will return the string get connection string, where builder configuration builder. From app settings.json we are going to read the connection string. For that I am creating base path here, which will be directory dot get current directory. From here we have to pass the JSON file. Add JSON file. I am copying this name. I am passing this. We have to build it here to read the connection string. Now here we can get configuration dot get connection string. Here we have to pass connection string name. This is our connection string name. Here we will get connection string. Here I am going to create one method to read the employees, which will return list of employees. Here I am going to pass employee get all, so it will return all the employees. Here I am declaring list of employees. It will be employee list. Here we have to pass connection. We have to pass the connection string. We have to pass command now. Create command. We have to define command type here. Then we have to define command text. So in our case, our store procedure name, we have to pass it here. To read all employees, this is the store procedure we are using. We have to paste it here. This no need of system.data. Now we have to open the connection. Here we have to import namespace system.data. Now we have to read the SQL data. For that we will use SQL DataReader. So if there is any data is available, then it will comes into our while loop, and here we are going to read all employees one by one, and we will attach to our list of employees. Here we will get employee ID, it will be ID, first name, last name, date of birth, email, and finally salary. Also here we have to convert, so because this ID is integer, so we have to convert into integer. For that, convert, I'm converting into integer, and string I will convert into toString. This is also string, and email also string. This I am going to convert as date time, and from this we need only date, and this one will be float, we have to convert it double. So finally we have to attach this to employee list. We have to add, pass the employee. Finally we have to return employee list. Here after reading the data we have to close the connection. Here we have to pass command dot execute reader, not this one, command dot execute reader. Here we will create a controller to read the data. Go to controllers, create a controller here. I am going to create one empty controller here. Add, I'll name it as employee controller. So this is my employee controller. I'll call employee dial, which is going to be data access layer, and I can make it as private read only. And here I will generate the constructor for this. Now here I am going to read the data from data access layer. So by default this is going to be get. If you want you can decorate with HTTP get. Here it will return list of employees. For that I am making as employee list here. Get all. Here I am going to make it, I'll keep this inside try catch block, so that if there is any unhandled exceptions are there we can find it easily. Surround with try catch block. So if there is any error we have to display to user. For that I'll store it in temp data. This is going to be error message. I'm pausing exception.message here. If the data is available then we have to pass employees to view. I'll create a view here. Right click on the action method, add view. Click on razor view empty, add. I'm going to make it as index. Here in this session we are not going to design any of the view, because last session we already explained how to create views manually step by step. If you are new to my channel, please watch my previous video link will be shared in the description. This is the view which we used in the previous session. I'm going to change the model name alone employee, and nothing here. If there is any error message, we are storing in the temp data like which we had shown here, and if there is any error message we are going to read it here. So if it is not null, then we are going to display in the index page like that. If there is any success message, if you want to display here, we can read here and we can display in the index page. So this is what we explained step by step in the previous session. If you want, you can watch that video, that will be shared in the video description. So this is simple table created. These are all the table header and this is the table body. Also here we can validate model is not equal to null and model dot any. So if model contains any data, then only we have to display it here. So if there is no data, is no employee is available at this moment, this message will be displayed in the table. Build the application once. So there is one error here. So here this namespace we used with previous sessions example, that is CRUD with code first. Here we have to change that. That will be CRUD with DbDataReader. That was the error here. Build the application. So build succeeded. Here I am going to change it to IAS. Run the application. Here we have to call our controller, that is employee controller. Enter it. So here there is a error. So while attempting to activate our employee DAL, there is an error. Here we missed one thing. Here we have to add employee DAL to our program.cs. We have to register it here. Builder dot services. Here we have to pass our employee DAL. Run the application now. Here we have to add namespace DAL. We will add employee master to navigation menu. For that I'll go to shared folder layout. Here we will add one nav item. Say employee controller, and action will be index. This name will be employee master. So I will click on employee master. It's coming to my index action method. We will keep one debug point here also in our data access layer. Here we are able to read our connection string. Currently we don't have any data, that's why it's not returning any employees. So there is no employees, that's why we are displaying message like no employees available at this moment. We will try to insert some dummy entries from backend. For testing purpose, we are entering few dummy entries from database. So ID will be identity column and primary key. We no need to insert any values here. First name I will make it as David. I'm saving here. We'll go to application. This time I will cancel all the debug points. I'll disable it and click on employee master. Continue. Now we are able to read the data from the database. So like this we can read the data from database by using ADO.NET in ASP.NET Core MVC. In next session we are going to insert the data into database by using stored procedure. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.